From LALATE News headquarters in Santa Monica, this is the Midday Report on LALATE.
A new exchange about the fourth stimulus package erupts in the press conference room as the press secretary is asked what's going on between the president and the Republicans. Is there really been negotiations, and what is the latest update? In this video, one of several today, I give you the timeline that's issued for the fourth stimulus package. And in this video, again, I do another analysis of other videos that surfaced this week in which the White House gives or doesn't give an update about what's going on with fourth stimulus. Meantime, big updates as well about $50,000 of student loan debt forgiveness. What happened with Miguel Cardona with that letter that was due yesterday? The EIDL grant. I'll be going over all the other things that people have been asking about. What about FUC retro? What about SSI and STI $2,400? What about student loan debt forgiveness, mortgage for business? Where are those things happening? In a new report released yesterday, there was a surprising detail about how one item, actually three items from third stimulus, have yet to land. And ironically, several items from second stimulus have yet to land as well. So I have the big updates for you on Noontime about where this money is coming and when this money is going. This is Noontime LA. Hey, good noontime, everybody. It's Saturday at noon here in Los Angeles. Hope you're good and safe. This is our midday, lighthearted, easy breezy, fun, and interactive noontime broadcast. I see Renee in the room, and there's Crystal and Gail and Janet and Caveman and Vicky, Cave Woman. How are you? It's a big day with exciting big news, and I'm so glad you joined me. If you've not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. We're approaching our one-year anniversary at the end of this month on April 25th, so give us a subscribe. We're trying to get to 400,000 subscribers. Also, like this video, 3,000 likes. And if you've not become a member, consider becoming a member. In this video, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to recap all the other provisions from the third stimulus package and tell you where they are. I'm also going to go over those items that you had heard about before third stimulus, tell you where they are. Those standalone items, tell you where those are. And I'm going to start with an update from the White House of what's going on with the Republicans' counterproposal to the fourth stimulus package. Let me give you a roadmap of what's happening later today on LALATE. On Afternoons LA, which has two shows, there's the first one and the second one. On Afternoons LA's second show, I go through a series of new videos from the White House, and I show you how the White House is not being particularly clear about its timeline for fourth stimulus. That's the White House, not the Congress. Speaker Pelosi, Leader Schumer have both confirmed that the vote and the finalization of the fourth stimulus must be done by July 4th. So what is the president's message about that? That's coming up this afternoon on the second Afternoons LA video. And I go through the videos the White House has had this week and show you if they're inconsistent. They are. But in this video, I want to go over something before that, which is, what is the president waiting for? The president has been waiting for a Republican discussion of the subject matter. And throughout the series of questions from the reporters in the field room of the press room this week, they've asked who you've been talking with. Who has the president been talking with? The press secretary's message has been the same. I don't keep records of it. He's been meeting with a lot of people. Well, what have they been meeting about? Well, trying to do a bipartisan agreement. Have you reached any agreement? We hope to reach agreement. What have you done so far? Very, very vague answers. In one exchange, there's even a question about who in the Democrats the president has met with. Ask them, the press secretary said. I don't have those logs. Ask the person themselves if they met with the president. Really quite peculiar. But here's what I want you to know, is that the first week that the president first made a public confirmation there was going to be the fourth stimulus package, which is also called the infrastructure bill or the jobs plan, or the Recovery Act, he debuted it, and the number one transportation leader of the Republican Party said, I have a counterproposal for you, Mr. President. Remember, I did this video for you. He said, I have a counterproposal for you. Let's just do infrastructure. It costs about 300 to 600 billion. We're not going to do climate. We're never going to do climate. And the bill does not need to be 3 trillion. It can be done at 600 billion. That was an actual counterproposal. The president has never responded to that counterproposal from the Republicans. He's never responded from the Republicans' statement that there's a line in the sand that they're not doing climate. So what's going on here? Let's watch this new video obtained by LALATE from yesterday when the press secretary is asked, has the president been having bipartisan meetings and what is the counterproposal? The response is, the president has not seen a counterproposal. Accurate or inaccurate? Drop in the comments what you think as you watch this video, if you think it's inaccurate or accurate that the president has not heard from the Republicans.
Has been informed about what the response is going to be?
Not as of earlier this morning, but I can check with our national security team if there are more details.
Okay, on infrastructure, is there anything that you can update us on about the negotiations, any serious negotiations happening with the GOP on pay-fors, anything you can share on infrastructure?
Well, I would say that what we're waiting for is a counter proposal from Republicans in Congress, and they've indicated that they're working through that. So we look forward to seriously considering any proposal that any good faith engagement, I should say, that comes our way.
So she says we're waiting for a counterproposal from the Republicans, and we've not seen it. Interesting. Strange that she hasn't seen it. You've seen it. I've detailed it on this channel. It came from Roy Blount, who is the #1 infrastructure Republican who leads the transportation subcommittee in the Senate. And he said, I have a counterproposal for you, Mr. President. Let's just do infrastructure. And it's not going to be 3 trillion. It'll be a couple $100 billion. And we'll just do roads, highways, and bridges. And you know what, Mr. President? I'll throw in their water. I'll throw in their internet. I'll throw in there more things, but I'm not doing climate. We're not going to ever do climate. So why is the press secretary saying she's never heard a counterproposal from the Republicans? This has to do with the issue of reconciliation. Why has reconciliation not started? Let's listen to what else she has to say.
But we're waiting. We're on the receiving end for that, so we're looking forward to it. On pay-fors, I would say there are basically 2 options to pay for this job-creating plan. The president believes it should be done by having corporations pay their fair share. That's what he's proposed, an increase in the corporate tax rate, global minimum tax. Some in Congress think that it should be paid for by putting the burden on the backs of Americans. We're happy to have that debate, but that's the fundamental disagreement. Those are the 2 major options.
One last thing on the American.
Elizabeth in the comments says, no need to wait. They need to agree and move forward on reconciliation. Well said, Elizabeth. Someone else says, stop waiting, get going. Let me see some more of the comments in the room. We need forced stimulus right now. Next, says Jason Miller. Very well said. Let's listen more to what she says in this exchange.
Families Act on the American Families Plan. Yep. Can you any guidance for us on when we'll see that? What might be in it? Any update on that?
Not quite yet, but again, we remain on track to having more to share with you in the coming weeks.
So the American Families Act is the 5th stimulus. Here is what's important for you to know, because I've not made it particularly clear for you. Well, I did a few weeks ago, but it's been a few weeks since then. Before the president announced the 4th stimulus package, which he calls the Jobs Plan or the Recovery Act or the American Jobs thing or the Infrastructure Plan, before he announced it, there was questions about what would be used to pay for it. And reports said the president's going to do corporate taxes, inheritance taxes raise, capital gains taxes raise, and 1 or 2 or 3 other tax raises. Guess how many of those documents have been revealed so far to indicate which taxes are being raised? None. The president has actually not released a memo or a briefing like we had with 3rd stimulus. Remember in January where I had a briefing of what the president wanted in the 3rd stimulus package? He's not released a briefing that details what type of taxes are actually being modified in the 4th stimulus package. In fact, he's released no memo briefing what he actually wants in the 4th stimulus package. So while the press secretary says we're waiting for a counterproposal, How do you make a counterproposal if you don't even actually have the first proposal that you're proposing? A little bit peculiar, don't you think? Counterpropose to the thing I'm not telling you what I actually have. Don't come back to me unless you mind read what I'm going to do first. There's Paula. Thank you for Paula for becoming a Purple Hawk. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Meantime, let me go over the other items that people have been asking about. Where are they? When are they happening? And what's going on? $50,000 of student loan debt forgiveness. This one sounds a little bit like what I just reported. Miguel Cardona, who is your education secretary, was given the instructions by the President of the United States within 2 weeks to prepare a memo to determine whether the President can forgive student loan debt by executive order. Elizabeth Warren says Obama did it, and Trump did it, and Biden can do it. Cardona, the secretary, was given 2 weeks to do the memo. Guess when 2 weeks was? Yeah, yesterday. Did you see the memo? Did you see the memo? Yeah, these people are not particularly good on keeping their timelines, are they? So people have asked me, what's happening with the $50,000 student loan debt forgiveness? It's dependent upon the memo, and the memo was not released yesterday. I don't even know if the memo was produced yesterday. I don't even know if the memo was finished by Cardona yesterday. In fact, no reporter even asked the question about where the hell is the darn memo, Cardona. So it goes back to a familiar narrative on this channel where reporters don't ask questions, and they should have asked, where is the memo on the student loan debt forgiveness? It was due yesterday. That one. Then another message and another update, similar again to the student loan debt forgiveness. A new report published yesterday, and it was elsewhere published on Thursday as well, says that of the money for rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, homeowners utility assistance, and other renters and property owners assistance passed and paid for under the second stimulus has yet to land in some states from the federal government. What's going on here? Why so slow? And then this, the same report says that the money under the third stimulus package, Biden's stimulus package, the one that just sent out the stimulus checks, the money for rent and property owners assistance, like mortgage assistance, that money is not going to start going out until May. May. Why does it take 2 months to send out money to states for the money? Now, I'm going to say that the series of articles that talked about this were very slamming of the situation, said it's nice, people get evicted and then they get money after they are evicted. Yeah, so it doesn't make particular good sense what's going on with that money. And since we're on the same message, let's go to the SBA. Javita LALATE would be laughing if she was not on the set right now. The Shuttered Venue Grant, which is not just for venues, went live 2 Fridays ago. Went live 2 Fridays ago. Guess what I got last night? An email from SBA that said, guess what? We're having problems with our Shuttered Venue Grant. The computers don't work. So we'll tell you when the computers work, but it's not live yet. There's sort of like a reoccurring theme here about things that sort of aren't live. You pass a bill, money's dispatched, and money is allocated, and the money doesn't go live. How about the restaurant grant? Live? No, not live. What about the remainder $10,000 EIDL grant? Well, I've been exclusively reporting to you that people who got the email invite in February and replied to them, guess what? They haven't gotten their money either. It's stuck in a vortex. Yes, and SBA knows it. SBA confirms that all February respondents to increase their EIDL grant to $10,000 are stuck in another computer vortex. Computer systems broke. Do you see a sort of reoccurring trend here? It's just like, one thing after another. And here's the president releasing publicity video after publicity video. I would like to, crack the whip and get people to send out the money that's really due. I mean, what's going on here? Whether it's the EIDL, the Shuttered Venue Grant that can't go live, or the money for rent and utilities and mortgage assistance that can't get out there, or now the questions about who the president's actually meeting for these bipartisan negotiations. People are starting to wonder what's really going on here. Get moving. Yesterday, Chris Coons, who's a friend of the president, longtime senator and friend of the president, you know what he proposed? Drop in your comments what you think to this comment if you did not know what Chris Coons proposed yesterday. He said there's too much work to do at the moment. Let's split the fourth stimulus package into 2 bills and do a little bit at a time. What is your reaction to that? What is your reaction to Chris Coons to sort of split the fourth stimulus package into 2 bills and do it slower over time? They just want to give us anxiety looking up for all this stuff, says Elizabeth. Vortex Boo, says Anne. They don't want to help us, says another Elizabeth. Unemployment just stopped out of nowhere. There's another Anne. There's 2 Annes in the room. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Let me go over the other money and where that money is. Maybe we can find some money in this video. The $1,700 of financial aid, that is available in your for college students. That's available at college level. So reach out to College Advisor. They can get that $1,700. What about the advisory from IRS on how to update them about a child you may have to prepare to get that $3,600 in the month of July, which is it's about 2 months away from now. Has that advisory been issued? No. So we're 2 months away from the president's big event, which was to pay $300 to children 6 or newborn, 5 to newborn, or $250 a month for children 17 to 6. And I have all these viewers who maybe don't file tax returns, did not do a non-file filing, but qualify for this and have a child. And Treasury has yet to give guidance as to how to update them about that child. Yeah, oh, goodness. And what if you do file a tax return? How do you ensure that IRS actually knows that they know about that child to get that $250 a month or $300 starting in the month of July? We don't have that clarification as well. You know, there was a message the president delivered right after he passed the third stimulus package, and his message was the following: that it's not so much to just pass laws, it's also to ensure the money actually gets there. Well, having problems with that SBA money getting out there, having problems with the mortgage and rent money getting out there, having questions about how to update IRS about the children's money to get there, there's sort of a reoccurring message here. Meantime, let's go back to the press secretary and her messages, and I'll jump into some comments if you have questions as well. Here's what you need to know: is that the split nothing. Let's just get to the do it, says Christine. She doesn't like Chris Coons' comments. She says, let's do it right away. Hello, afternoon, says Michelle. What are they waiting for, says Ruth? The cow to say moo moo? They just want to slow it down. They don't want to help us, says Lynn. Tried to tell the people they would be very sorry, says Nancy in the room. Split nothing, just get it going. Here is what the messaging, I'm going to give you a preview of what's coming up later today on this channel. A preview of what's coming up later today on this channel is the press secretary, during a series of videos this week, was asked, are you really having bipartisan negotiations for the fourth stimulus package? Yeah, of course we are. Why wouldn't we? Well, who's at the meetings? I can't tell you. Which Republicans and which Democrats are at the meeting? I can't tell you. I don't keep logs of that. And then one of the questions, my favorite one was, so Senator Manchin has proposed 25% for the corporate tax rate under the fourth stimulus package, and the president wants 28%. Has the president spoken to Senator Manchin? I don't know. Go ask Senator Manchin who he's spoken to. I just a little bit like, okay. Yeah, okay. But it's just, there's not only an attempt to look like it's bipartisan, but there's clearly a consistency you'll see in the videos on Afternoons LA where the press secretary is antagonistic. If you ask her, is he really being bipartisan on this? And whenever she's asked who's actually there, she has no idea, and she has no intention of telling you, and she tells you to go ask someone else to find out who's in the meetings. Really interesting. Yes, very interesting. Meantime, in the same regard, the president keeps on releasing videos of what he's going to do in the fourth stimulus package. And what's also really interesting is next week's the president's talking about climate. But is he doing it bipartisan? No. He's appearing in a Zoom chat and telling you what he wants to do with climate. Good. Good. Sounds very bipartisan. It sounds very conciliatory. It sounds very negotiating. Meantime, let's go back to the big money that's available under forced stimulus and the money at issue. If you're looking to Congress, not to the president. The money at issue kicks in either in a shorter time frame with more money faster, or a longer time frame with more money over the time frame. Here's what the senators are proposing. The senators are proposing July to December, and insiders say $2,000 a month over 6 months, which would amount to $12,000, or $1,400 a month, which would amount to $8,400. The House members propose a smaller amount, but spread longer. So they're thinking about $1,000 a month after the first month being $2,000. But then paying you that money over the entire pandemic plus 1 year. So they would give you a stimulus check until this pandemic's over and then add a year to it. One of the viewers in one of the comments on Mornings LA, when saw this, said, "Oh, I don't like the House program because someone will just come in and stop it and not pay the checks." That is a very interesting theory. And I've never heard anyone address that subject. I'm going to address it right now. It's a great question. If the House plan actually became the law for stimulus, and that they would pay stimulus checks starting now through the pandemic till its end, and then a year after that, you would be looking at least 18 months of checks. So could someone else stop the checks at a later time? Great question. Yes, they could. At the midterm elections, if the Senate and House falls to the Republicans, or at least the Senate falls to the Republicans could come in and, by reconciliation on their side as well, could come in and reverse these monthly stimulus checks from the Democrats immediately. They could stop them on a heartbeat. So that is a huge, big question. And it's a great comment by a viewer. Could someone else come in? It absolutely could come in. What else could be stopped? Well, you couldn't stop the child tax credit because the child tax credit is over 12 months, and the midterm elections would not have happened by then. But because the magnitude of the time frame of the House proposal for monthly stimulus checks is so long, it could be upwards of almost 2 years. That absolutely, if the House or Senate or both falls to the Republicans, they could come in and stop the checks right away. It's a great question. Great question across the board. If you have questions or comments, drop in the comments below, and I will be back with you in just a second to go over the other items in the third stimulus package and explain to you where they are and also what's happening on fourth stimulus. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues now on Noontime LA. Thank you for joining me on a big Noontime recording. There's a big lineup of shows coming up later today, and I can give you a preview of what you're going to be hearing, and they are very good shows coming up later today. First, we have Afternoons LA coming back in 2 hours from now. That Afternoons LA show kicks up its feet or hooves of your cow at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 2 hours from now. That's a huge recording, and it's live. And I will be interacting with you. Then we go into our tape shows. And I can tell you, these are very good shows today. The Afternoons LA show is 2 hours. The second Afternoons LA show is 2 hours after that at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And in that show, I analyze how the White House has not been consistent on forced stimulus timeline. But I'll go over what Leader Schumer and Speaker Pelosi want for forced stimulus and how quickly they wanted to get to the door. Also, I'll go over a breaking news report today that talks about the possibility that Pelosi may be behind these monthly stimulus checks. Then at Evenings LA, we kick it out of the ballpark with a series of new economic data that's coming next week that signals the importance of getting forced stimulus done sooner rather than later. And then tonight at late night is the irreverent and off the cuff or hoof Sirloin and Javita Late. How are ya? It's a big noontime show. And I see in the room Mar and Enzo and Fan and Jenny and Kathleen and Charlotte. How is everyone doing? You know, it's a big week coming up ahead of time. And next week, we're going to hear reports of earnings from Coca-Cola United, IBM, Netflix, Honeywell, and American Express. And all the analyst reports, all the analyst predictions for next week say all these numbers for corporate earnings are going to be very good. And it's going to signal that the economy is booming. You know it's booming. The question is, how big is the economy rebounding? We have a certain number of people unemployed and a certain number of jobs missing. But those numbers could change very quickly, and they could certainly change by July. What's important to understand is when we're looking at these monthly stimulus checks, July is right around the corner. You know, we're heading into late April now. And with late April just a second away, you want this bill to a law as soon as possible. Speaker Pelosi and Leader Schumer are adamant. The bill will be voted upon by July 4th. Well, what is the president's message? In Afternoons LA tonight, you're going to see the president's message is the same. But what's important to understand here is the reconciliation timeframe. It takes 2 months to do a reconciliation at least. So we are pressing up on the start of that 2-month horizon. We're about 2.5 months away. You want that bill to start relatively soon. At issue here is where's the bill? Where is the bill? Sirloin may say, where's the beef? Where is the bill? The president's not going to write the bill. The Speaker of the House is going to write the bill. We're for subcommittees, and it takes time to write a bill. And guess what? This is not going to be one of those small bills. Third stimulus package bill was a couple hundred pages long. Why? Because it was a modification of the second stimulus package bill, which was a modification of the first one. Infrastructure is going to have all this new stuff in there. Yeah, doing stimulus checks, that's only 2 pages long. But imagine writing about bridges and about highways and water. That's going to be thousands of pages. They got to get going, folks. They got to get going. Let me tell you what else is happening, and they got to get going. First, student loan debt forgiveness. I told you earlier in this recording, Miguel Cardona's memo was due yesterday, Friday, to determine whether the president can forgive it by student loan debt or not. And that Cardona letter that would determine the president's authority to forgive it by executive order was due yesterday. So where is it? No one asked about it except me. And ultimately, it depends on the reporters. The White House press corps to ask these questions. Where's the Cardona memo about whether the president can forgive executive order? Now, you know and I know who's going to ask it. Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren and Chuck Schumer are going to come in Monday say, where's the memo? You said you're going to do it if you had the memo. Okay, the memo's due. Where is it? And then the states. The states are starting to clamor, whether it's Florida or other ones, wondering where is the money for rent, utilities, mortgage assistance? It has not been sent to certain states. And then the businesses. The businesses are going to start to wonder, why have the business grants not gone live? You know, a few days ago, I detailed one graphic on this channel, which was the number of businesses that closed in the month of February. These aren't good numbers, folks. You want these businesses to go out. You don't want these businesses to go away because stimulus is not going out the door. But let's look at the graphic here. We're currently in late April and May. That's when now they're claiming that their third stimulus money for rent, utilities, and mortgage assistance lands in the state. It better, because some of those states don't have that second stimulus yet. And then you see how they got to get that fourth stimulus package bill to a finality, if not in June, then in July. They need to get that money going out ASAP. Let me jump into some of the questions and comments that you may have in this video. They're too slow, says someone. What about the executive order, Alicia? Yeah, what about the executive order? That question is, where's Miguel Cardona with the memo? Coming up next week is big earnings reports from Honeywell and American Express on Friday. On Tuesday, it's Johnson & Johnson, Procter & Gamble, and Netflix. And on Monday is Coca-Cola, United Way, and IBM. And all the analyst reports say those numbers are going to be through the roof. It's going to show incredible growth across the board. Meantime, this weekend, we're seeing a big pullback on crypto. Bitcoin and Ethereum are down 1%. It could signal that there was a little bit too much frothiness this last week. And then there's the random factor at issue. Currently, the United States is trending at its highest number of COVID cases since summer of last year. And you would have freaked out if this was last year and looked at the number. Suddenly, no one's worried about the number. Why? Doesn't make a lot of sense. We're at the highest level, 70,000 new COVID cases per day since summer of last year, and no one's worried about it? Let's listen into this new video from
Before
Dr.
I turn it to
Walensky.
Dr. Walensky, I want to reiterate the role all of us have to play. We need everyone to do their part. We need all Americans to take the steps we know work to stop COVID-19. So please, wear a mask, socially distance, and as needed, socially distance and get tested as needed, and also go get vaccinated. As of Monday, all adult Americans will be eligible. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Walensky.
Thank you and good morning. As for my
Before I get to Dr. Walensky, Jacqueline Hall has a beautiful question. Wasn't SBA only given 14 days to go live with the grant? Yeah, and guess what? They're never going live with a $5,000 grant. Can you imagine? They're not even going live with the grant they're supposed to go live with. They're actually just using that money to pay 2020 grants. It's crazy.
As usual, I'll begin with an overview of the data. Yesterday, CDC reported 73,622 cases of COVID-19. Our 7-day average is up to 69,500, nearly 70,000 new cases per day. I know case numbers may seem similar from day to day, but just 4 weeks ago, our 7-day average was only about 53,000 cases per day. In concert with the increase in cases, the 7-day average of emergency department visits, hospital admissions, and hospitalizations are all approximately 5 to 8% higher than they were in the prior 7-day period. And sadly, average daily deaths have increased for the third day in a row.
Meantime, some of you have dropped some really good questions in the comments. Let me answer them right now. The first question I want to answer is from Karen Zayed, which mirrors the prior question. What about the $5,000 EIDL grant? It looks like SBA is going to defy the law again. I know it is the law. The third stimulus package has a provision in there to give you a $5,000 EIDL grant. It looks like they're going to defy the law. They're not going to offer it. What they're doing currently is they are using that EIDL grant money to pay off prior EIDL grants, which they've done before. I don't know how they get away with this. Every time the federal government gives SBA money for EIDL grant and call it EIDL grant and say it's for this, they take the money and use it for a prior EIDL grant. So what they're doing is they're paying the remainder of the $10,000 EIDL grant from last year for low-income based community businesses first, then everyone else, and then they're going to start to see if they have any money left over and then open it up for $5,000 for a few people. Not what the law says, I know. And then Tina says, what about the $10,200 tax refund? When are we going to get that? So if you filed a tax return and you did pay taxes on unemployment, you're going to get an automatic refund from the IRS starting in the month of May based upon their calculation. Some reports say that if you don't think you're going to get a calculated right, do an amended return and request the money back. Also, if you withdrew for unemployment taxes when you were getting unemployment weekly and have not filed your 2020 tax return, you're going to have to wait for clarification from IRS how to do that. Doesn't look like they've done that yet either. And we're just a few weeks away from when your 2020 return is due. So that's a great question as well from Tina. Does this include Social Security on retirement? If we're talking about the monthly stimulus checks under the fourth stimulus package, yes. So everything for purposes of the reoccurring stimulus checks is actually quite easy. That's the easy part of this recording. The monthly stimulus checks for fourth stimulus, yes. If you're on SSI or SSDI, Social Security or railroad benefits or veterans, you get it. If you make less than $75,000, you get it. If you're a single individual, make less than 75, you get it. Married couple, 150,000 or less, you get it. Household of 4 or less, you get it. That's the easy part of the recording. The harder part of the recording are some of the really great questions that are coming in right now. When to amend, says Anne Marie. Okay, so let me explain that $10,200 unemployment situation. So if you have filed a tax return and did pay taxes on your $10,200 unemployment, you can just wait to get a refund check from IRS if you're content with their advisory that they're going to just refund the money based upon what they calculate. If you are uncomfortable, you may want to request it back by doing a 2020 amended return. Second, if you've not filed your return, then you don't need to amend anything. That is if for an individual who did take out for taxes weekly when receiving their unemployment benefits and is now preparing their tax return, how do you account for that? That will be done by your tax preparer when you do actually do the 2020 return. Are they still trying to raise the minimum wage? Money. Haven't heard about that in a few weeks. Don't really know. Again, that's one of the things they could slide in there across the board. Great question from Monty. How do we know if the IRS, how do we let the IRS know that we have a child, says Jenny? That's the $1 million question. IRS actually issued an advisory. I think I have a graphic for it here somewhere on the screen. Issued an advisory several weeks ago. Here it is. I actually do have it. Here's the advisory. It said, don't file amended returns to tell us you have a child. And that we're going to give you an update in the next few weeks how to tell us you have a child. Okay, where's the update? Haven't given it to us. So again, IRS said, don't file an amended return to tell us you have a child. We'll tell you how to update us in the next few weeks. They haven't come out with that update. So the question is, when do we get sort of antsy about the situation? The checks start in July, and you don't want to sort of update them, 30 days away, which is June. So we're getting sort of close, and that's a great question. Let me jump back into the comments and questions, see something else that anyone's asking. Are they still trying to raise the minimum wage? Don't know. And there you go. My boyfriend has net spend, no stimulus yet either. Net spend is one of those that pays a stimulus check as soon as they get it. They don't release it. So it may be in the mail. Thank you for joining me on Noontime's LA. I'll be back with you in 2 hours from now as this channel's programming kicks up. Here is this afternoon's schedule. You're currently watching Noontime. In 2 hours from now is Afternoons LA, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 2 hours from now. And then 2 hours after that is the second Afternoons LA. Then we go into Evenings LA, and then our late night Laugher LA Late Night. Thank you for joining me. If you have not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. And it's approaching our 1 year anniversary, trying to get to 400,000 subscribers. Let's do it. Also, like this video. Every like that you give really helps. Make sure you hit the like on this video. 2,000-3,000 likes. Let's do it. And consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP. The link's at the top of the chat and also in the pinned comment. Stay informed, stay focused, and I'll see you in 2 hours from now on Afternoons LA.